I woke to the soft sound of my name. Ethan. First I thought I was dreaming. The digital clock glared 3:17 a.m. in its cold red glow. The room was half drowned in shadow, moonlight bleeding through the curtains. My wife, Clara, sat on the edge of the bed, her hands shaking, face pale as paper. There was something in her eyes I hadn't seen before. Fear, guilt, or maybe both. "What's wrong?" I croaked, still caught between sleep and the heaviness in her voice. She swallowed hard. "We need to talk." Those 4 words, "we need to talk," have ended more marriages than infidelity itself. My chest tightened. "Now." She nodded, unable to meet my eyes. "I can't sleep. I've been thinking. About us." I sat up, the sheets rustling like whispers in the silence. "Clara, what is this about?" Her lip trembled. She looked at her wedding ring, then slipped it off, turning it between her fingers. My stomach dropped. "Please don't tell me what I think you're about to tell me." Tears spilled before she could speak. "I made a mistake." The words hung between us, heavy and final. I stared at her, numb. "What kind of mistake?" Her voice cracked. "There's someone else." And just like that, my world, our 12-year marriage, our shared laughter, our quiet Sunday mornings, every stupid little inside joke, came crashing down around me. First I didn't speak. Couldn't. I just watched her cry into her hands, the woman I'd trusted more than anyone, shaking like a child. "How long?" I finally asked, my voice eerily calm. She hesitated, and that hesitation told me everything. "Clara." "How long?" "Almost 6 months. 6 months. Half a year of lying. Half a year of pretending everything was fine. Dinners, kisses, plans for a trip we'd never take. I felt like a stranger in my own life." "Who?" Her silence was worse than any answer. She stared at the floor, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Who is he?" I demanded. "It doesn't matter." "Don't you dare say that," I snapped, the anger finally clawing its way through the shock. "It matters to me. Tell me who." Her lips quivered. "His name is Daniel. From work." Daniel. The name hit like a punch. I'd met him once. Tall, confident, charming in that effortless way. He'd shaken my hand at her company party, smiling like the devil wears cologne. I remembered how she'd laughed at something he said, a little too freely. I'd brushed it off. Because I trusted her. 'Cause she was my wife. "Did you sleep with him?" The question burned as it left my mouth. Clara froze, her breath hitching. "Yes." The room spun. My hands went cold. I wanted to scream, to throw something, but instead I just sat there, silent, watching the distance grow between us like a canyon that could never be crossed. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "It just happened. We were working late one night. I was lonely, you were always so busy." "Don't," I cut in sharply. "Don't you dare blame this on me." "I'm not," she cried. "I'm trying to explain." I laughed bitterly. "Explain what?" "How you decided to destroy everything because you felt lonely. You could have talked to me, Clara. You could have said something." "I tried," she said through sobs. "You were distant, always tired, buried in work. I thought maybe you didn't love me anymore." My voice trembled. "So instead of asking, you went to him?" Her silence was my answer. The clock ticked. 3:45 a.m. We sat there. 2 people who used to be inseparable, now separated by the truth. I got out of bed, pacing the room, trying to breathe. Every corner of the house suddenly felt tainted. The photos, the books, even the smell of her perfume on the pillow. "I never wanted to hurt you," she whispered. I turned, my eyes stinging. "Then why did you?" "I don't know," she said, almost to herself. "It wasn't supposed to go that far. But then, it did. And every time I tried to end it, I couldn't." "You couldn't," I repeated. "You're acting like it was out of your control. Like you tripped and fell into his bed." She broke down crying. But I couldn't comfort her. Not this time. Because every tear she shed felt like salt in my wounds. By 4:10 I was sitting on the couch, staring blankly at the wall. She followed me, wrapped in the same guilt that now wrapped around my life. I ended it, she said softly. 3 days ago. I couldn't live with myself anymore. I didn't respond. The truth was, her confession wasn't mercy, it was selfish. She wanted relief. I whispered, "You didn't tell me because you loved me. You told me because you wanted to ease your guilt." Her tears slowed. She knew I was right. I thought about all the little signs I'd missed. The extra time at work. The way she guarded her phone. The perfume she wore just because. The way she smiled differently sometimes, like she was hiding a secret that wasn't mine to share. And suddenly I hated myself more than her, for being blind, for being so naive. At 5 a.m., the first hint of dawn crept through the window. The world outside was calm, indifferent to the storm tearing me apart. "I'll move out tomorrow," she whispered. "You deserve better than this." Her voice cracked again. "I still love you, Ethan." I turned to her, finally meeting her gaze. "No, Clara. You love the idea of me. The version of me that wouldn't break when you did this." She sobbed quietly. I stood up, grabbed my jacket and walked out the door. The cold morning air slapped my face as I stepped outside. I drove aimlessly, the streets empty. The city was asleep, unaware that one man's world had ended a few hours ago. I pulled over near the old pier, where we used to sit and talk for hours when we first started dating. Back then, she'd rest her head on my shoulder and whisper, "Promise you'll never leave me." And I never did. Until she did, without even walking away. By sunrise, I found myself back home. She was still there, sitting at the kitchen table, a cup of untouched coffee in front of her. Her eyes were swollen, her face pale. "I didn't expect forgiveness," she said quietly. "But I hoped maybe one day you'd understand." I looked at her long and hard. "I understand one thing. Love isn't supposed to feel like this." She nodded, tears glistening again. "You're right." We stood there for a long moment. The silence between us said everything words couldn't. I walked past her, grabbed my suitcase, and without another word left. It's been 8 months since that night. People say time heals all wounds, but I've learned it doesn't. It just teaches you how to live with the scar. I never hated Clara. Part of me still loves the woman she was. But I've also learned that sometimes, love isn't enough. Sometimes the person you die for is the same person who quietly kills something inside you. I still wake up at 3:17 a.m. sometimes. My heart pounding, her voice echoing in my mind. We need to talk. And even now, part of me wishes I could go back to that night. Before the words that changed everything.